Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Musical People and Journeys new album reviews, Battle of the Bands, battle of two new album releases here in January 2023. Well, actually, we're reviewing them in January 23, but these albums were probably from kind of the end of last year. And today's show is joint hosted by my wonderful crew. Welcome to the show, Paul, Patricia, and Chris.
Morning.
Morning, rock on. Morning, Chris. Absentee from the.
Good morning.
Ooh. So he's a bit slow. Dave is missing. He unfortunately is not well today, but he has sent his votes in for us. So which is a shame, but there we go. So we'll be able to add his input into the show. So.
It's okay. He had a rock and roll weekend. He was neck deep in cocaine and hookers, and that's why he can't be here today. He's just hanging.
Yeah, but you made it. You were with him.
I know. I'm a bit more seasoned.
Oh, okay, right then. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So talking about that and living in the fast lane, let's join the fast lane because today's albums is none other than in the blue corner, Rob Morati with his new album Epical, and in the red corner, Satin and their new album Appetition. Whatever that means. But there we go. So, first up, let's go to the blue corner and let's talk about Rob Morati. Who is Rob Morati? Well, on April the 15th, 2008, Saga, dun dun dun, announced that Rob Morati of Toronto, former singer of Final Frontier, had joined the band as a new lead vocalist. Morati's background included more than a decade of experience in the Canadian rock music industry, recently working with the respected guitarist and producer Mladen Zaron. I mean, what a name, really. I mean, that just blows you away. So, let's find out what our esteemed panel thought of Rob Morati. Chris, let's start with you then, my friend. Had you heard of... you heard of Saga, but had you heard of Rob Morati?
No, I hadn't, not at all. And I think for this one, Epical was probably quite a good name for the album. It was very 80s, but I think that was kind of the idea. What it really reminded me of was montage music. It was an entire album of people having a montage. So, there was people training in Kung Fu. There was people learning to use submachine guns. There was a whole bunch of punching huge chunks of meat going on. It was interesting. It was an experience. I don't think it was for me, but I can't be too horrible about it. I think it has a place.
Talking about having a place in our hearts, though, Trish, what did you think of a bit of Rob Morati? Because I would have put this maybe in your camp.
I'd never heard of him before or the bands that he was in, but on listening to this album, it was warm and effective with a mix of Scandinavian and US-sounding 80s melodic rock. It's an easy listen with some good harmonies and memorable choruses. Now, we all know I love my 80s rock. This is a nice album, albeit a bit cheesy at times, and nothing stand out for me to keep me engaged to add it to my playlist to listen to again, but definitely a good effort.
Paul, I'll come to you last, just because let's sandwich in the information about Rob Morati, because I bet you're going to dazzle us now with no? Okay. Rob Morati, Paul, tell us all about Rob Morati.
What can we say about Canadian AOR progressive rocker Moriarty? He's been a journeyman, having fronted Saga at one point. I think he was only there for a year, but for the last couple of years, he's producing his own solo albums. Epical is his fifth. For these solo outings, he has gathered different musicians in the AOR field, from bands like Whitesnake, Saga, Blue Thunder, to name a few. It's important to know this, as Moriarty is stuck in the 80s. Yes, the music is fine, his vocals seem too forced at times, but for me, this whole venture feels like a tribute act to Journey. That may seem cut in, but you will either get transported back to the era listening to Epical, or like me, wake up when Heartwind start playing on Spotify's suggested playlist after the album finishes.
AOR, what's AOR mean?
American orientated rock.
Oh, okay, look at that. Wow, doing something. Every day's a school day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every day's a school day.
And it's like Journey, Foreigner, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I think I entirely agree with you guys on this side. This was just an okay, average album. And I'm going to myself, why am I not? And actually, do you know what? For once, Trish summed it up. It was cheesy. For me, I mean, I like that 80s kind of rock sound, but with a more modern kind of feel to it. So you kind of just like, it's not, you don't feel you're stuck in the 80s, and this just definitely felt, I want to experience new music, and I want to experience while still enjoying that sound. We've come across our bands like Goodbye June, who though very much have that AC/DC kind of sound, are very much of their own kind of ilk, and you find and feel it fresh and up to date, and this is not fresh and it's not up to date really, but however, and I go with Chris on this one, it's solid enough. It's I think if there is definitely a place for it, and I think if you like that sound and you want more of that sound, Rob Morati delivers it. And his singing's not bad. It's pretty good. It's an okay album from that perspective. So okay. So they are. He's up against Satin. So who the heck is Satin? Satin is a Norwegian award-winning artist, songwriter, and producer. So it's a solo act against a solo act. Started playing the guitar at the age of 9. Was writing songs by the age of 11. Being an 80s child, his music, songwriting, production was naturally revealed some elements from the 80s. From elements of the 80s, and into huge catchy choruses and serial lyric content that was also reflected in his own writing. There we go. Obviously, finding information about Satin was quite hard to do until finding their website.
Bio himself.
I think he probably did. I think I might have taken that bio from their website. So because I couldn't find it, it wasn't on things like Wikipedia or anything like that. So but there we go. So okay, go on. Sorry, Chris.
I just wanted to make that was all.
Okay.
It sounds a bit like someone blowing their own trumpet.
Oh, I mean, which a lot of these artists do, and they do it well. So, Trish, let's start with you then. Satin, how did this fly for you? Did you find it some naturally reveal some elements of the 80s?
For me, this album was quite similar sounding to Rob Morati's. Nice melodic 80s rock again, easy listening. The one catchy track that caught me was Looking at You, which has a rock pop sound to it and a catchy chorus. I think the album for me was more rocky, but it was difficult to choose between these two albums because they were so very well matched for verses.
Okay, Chris, how about you, mate? What did you?
I think it kind of turned out to be quite interesting that it was a solo versus a solo. This album was equally as 80s as the other one, which obviously was a bit of a turn-off for me. However, this one, whilst Rob Morati had his, it appealed to me that little bit more because it sounded like a montage album, and that really tickled me, even if I didn't enjoy it. Appetition was more, it just sounded like, I don't want to say homage because it was more of a rip-off of Rainbow and Van Halen and stuff like that. To me, this album was just bargain bin rock, mate.
Bargain bin rock. Oh, I haven't heard that analogy for a while. Paul, would you agree with that?
Yeah, in many respects, definitely. It's not something I would go out and buy. Put it that way.
Well, we'll find that out at the end of the show, Paul.
Yeah, it's not even something I would recommend. But I researched him a bit, and as you said, he started playing the guitar at the age of 9. He's also big in Japan, as his albums sell out there in a couple of days. Yeah, so Appetition is his third outing, and like Moriarty, his roots are firmly stuck in the 80s. Only this time, the AOR, American-oriented rock theme, is what I would term in between Wingers in the Heart of the Young and Bon Jovi's 7800 Fahrenheit. But not quite, dare I say, as heavy as the heaviness of 7800 Fahrenheit. I like some of the guitar work on this album, and perhaps the Japanese are correct about the upbeat tonal qualities of Tom Satin and his lyrics. Having said that, none of these songs will hit my playlist.
Yeah, and that's the I kind of go along with that. I think I might have enjoyed this a little bit more, but it's very, very similar. But I think this was slightly a little. I mean, if you could, make a blunt knife edgier. It was a little bit more upbeat, I think, but it wasn't. It was again a solidly good album. I mean, it was solid. It wasn't dreadful. It wasn't great. It just was somewhere very kind of middle of the road. And again, similar to Rob Morati, it's very much. I think there's definitely a place for it, and I think it's going to have its fandom. It was just. I think I get frustrated a little bit with these albums because we've listened to a lot of albums, and there's always something. The ones that stand out, it's just something a little bit new and a bit fresher that they kind of bring to the table. And this didn't really deliver any of that of that really. And yeah, I don't think any of the songs hit my playlist. And for me, this was very much what I kind of grew up on. But the thing is just what I grew up on. And if I want to listen to this music, then yeah, I would go back to kind of Bon Jovi and or similar stuff and just listen to their albums, which were actually fantastic because it just didn't bring anything new. It just being a bargain bin thing was a bit harsh, but I kind of understand Chris's comment about it felt like a bit of a rip-off really, and I kind of understand that analogy. But it was an okay album. It was enjoyable to a point. I think is where you're at from that one. So, this could be close. I think this could be close. This could be a close battle of the new albums. So let's kind of start then. Chris, what would you going to give? What are you going to give Rob Morati?
2.5, and I definitely put it on if I wanted to train to become a ninja.
Okay, and Satin.
1.5.
1.5.
Which I think is generous.
I'm surprised you're giving Rob Morati 2.5. That's pretty good for you. Okay, so round one to Rob. You what? Sorry, mate. Oh, we've lost it.
But it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad.
No. Okay. Trish. Rob Morati.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Satin.
3 out of 5.
It's a tie. And which gun to your head? What are you going to buy?
I would buy Satin Appetition because of Looking at You, and it had a few more catchier tunes to it.
1-1. Paul.
Don't know, a bit stunned looking at you. Never mind. I don't want to stamp on these people because obviously these people have got careers and they're earning money and stuff, but I just wonder who would buy these types of albums.
Yeah, but Paul, as we explained right from the word go, these ratings are based on how much we enjoyed the albums. For no other reason, we rate these albums about how much we enjoyed listening to them. That's it.
Okay. Moriarty, 1.5.
Okay.
And Satin. I originally had 2.5, but I'm going to lower it to 2.
2. But, Satin wins that round. So 2-1 to Satin at the minute. Dave equally hated both of them. No shock there. He gave Morati also 1.5, and he gives Satin a 2. So it looks like Satin's is taking this because I also pretty much agreed. I gave Rob Morati 2, and Satin for some reason, obviously it's off the mark. I give it a 3. So I couldn't have hated it that much, but there we go. So, well, I think we're aiming to try and get over 13 for these albums to see if they get into our top 100, really. But Satin with Appetition wins that particular battle, and so Morati scored 5, 6.5, 7, 8, 10.5. So got to double figures, something, but didn't make our top 100. And Satin scored 3, 6, 8, 10, 11.5. So also didn't get over the golden 13 in our top 100 albums. But there we go. I mean, and listen, everybody, we literally score it as how much we enjoyed the album. You might well enjoy it completely or hear something completely different as I think we're pretty good judges of what is a really good album, as we've discovered. So, well, there we go. Congratulations, Satin. So go and buy Satin Appetition. And thank you very much for joining us on another fantastic show. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Trish. And thank you to Chris.
Thank you.
Bye.
And if you want to listen to more...
Nigel.
Oh, thank you, mate. And if you want to listen to more albums, reviews, go over to our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for joining us. Bye for now.